Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This is, oh my God, I was wrong about this palette. I was totally wrong about this palette. Hi, welcome to the channel. This is Beyond Authentic Health and Beauty, where we are documenting our slimming world journey and beyond. Today, we're very much in the beyond section. We're in the beauty section today. So what is this video all about? Well, if you've seen the thumbnail, if you've clicked on the title, you'll know already. Today, I am putting to the test some Juvia's Place products now that they are fully available in Superdrugs. Before we go any further, I do have to say that this video is not sponsored. I haven't got any kickback from Superdrug or Juvia's Place or anything like that. These are just products that I wanted to test for myself. And now that Juvia's is in Superdrug in the UK and we can all access it very easily, I thought this is the perfect time to do it. So I've just looked on their website and they have a current deal on Superdrugs on a 3 for 2 on all cosmetics. Now that's really interesting because some of these items are not cheap. So yeah, although Superdrugs you think kind of drugstore prices, you think quite kind of affordable. I mean, I bought a lip liner for a tenner. I don't know how I feel about that. I hope this works. So anyway, so what did I decide to pick up from Juvia's then? Well, I got myself, first of all, a lip liner, as I just said. This is the Juvia's Place Luxe lip liner, and this is in the shade Lush. So I'll show you that in a second. This was £10. And then I got a Juvia's Place Nude Peaches lipstick, and this is in the shade Me. So it's kind of like a chocolatey brown shade. So we'll have a look at that. That was £14. I picked up the Juvia's Place Under Eye Setting Powder. This is in the shade White Sands, and this was £12. It's not a very big pot, is it, for £12? Well, we'll get into that in a second. And then I got two of the eyeshadow palettes. I picked up the violets and also the sweet pinks because you know me, if I've got an option, pink and purple is my go-to. They are my favorite kind of combination of colors. So I thought, why not pick up both of those at the same time? And these palettes are £6 palettes and these are £14 each. So then let's get into it. As you can see, I haven't got any foundation or anything like that on. So I'm using the foundation I've got in my Team Project pan. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in the shade 115 Ivory. And yeah, I really like this. I would have loved to have tried some of the Juvia's Place foundations, but Superdrugs aren't currently selling them. So it really does feel like they've got almost like a trial range at the moment. So they haven't got the foundations, they haven't got any of the larger palettes. There's lots of the Juvia's Place products that we currently can't get in Superdrugs. You can still get them on the Juvia's website, of course, and pay for your shipping and all of that. But they're not available in Superdrug. So I'm just going to use my standard foundation. So the next step obviously is concealer. Now Superdrug does have quite a decent range. I think there's 17 shades in total of the Juvia's Place concealer. Now I didn't get it for two reasons. One, it's £14, which is quite a lot of money for a concealer because you don't get a lot in a concealer. But the main reason is because I have so many concealers in my collection right now. I cannot justify adding another one in just for a video. So I'm just going to use the one that I'm going through in my Team Project pan, which is the L'Oreal Age Perfect. So when I saw this on the website, I was actually quite excited about getting one of these. Now, I do like a good quality powder. I really do. My current favorite setting powder for my whole face is the Beauty Bakery setting powder, the flower powder. I love that, absolutely love that. And so yeah, this is the only setting powder they've got. So I don't know whether they do like a full face one or whether this is one that you can use on your full face. I haven't looked into it. I'm basically just buying these products as if I would walked into Superdrugs and just picked them off the shelf. As I say, this was £12 and you get 120 grams in here. So it's not the most amount of product, but if it's good, then that's, you know, that's all we need to know, isn't it? So let's have a look. So it's got it's just a standard sort of lid. There is a sifter. Oh, this actually looks like quite a nice finely milled powder. I've got to say though, £12 for this amount. It's not a lot, is it? That's really not a lot. Right, let's do the standard. So I am just going to tip a little bit into the lid. just to give me a little bit to work from, and then put that to one side, just so that I don't basically overuse it. I'm just using this with a puff just on there, and then tapping it off back into the little lid itself. And then we're just going to use this first of all to set the under eye. Oh, almost looks like I'm baking there, but as you know, we don't bake on this channel. We it's not something that I particularly enjoy, or something that I particularly like the look of. I find it really dries out your under eye areas. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm just pressing that into place, just the smallest amount now on the corner of the puff. What do you think? Do you think it's had a little bit of a brightening effect? I think it might have done just a little bit. I'm going to use a tiny bit more, and as you can see, there's nothing left in the sifter. So I'm just going to scrape the puff around that and just pick up what's left. There's not a great deal left. So I don't use an awful lot of setting powder. And then I'm just going to tap that into place just where I've put the concealer. So really setting that concealer into place. I think there's definitely a lightening effect under my eyes. That definitely looks like it's a lot brighter. So then let's see about using this again, taking a small amount, tapping it into the lid. So a really small amount of the powder on there. And then I'm just going to see whether I can set my whole face just using my big fluffy brush. This is just a big fluffy powder brush by Eco Tools. And I'm picking up the product, but then what I'm going to do is just hold the product up and just tap it into the brush. So try and tap the powder down into the brush a little bit, just to get us a little bit more of a good chance of getting the full face, rather than it just going flip and then you get one patch which is really powdery and the rest of your face doesn't really have anything on it. So let's just move the hair out of the way and then just see what it looks like as a full face setting powder. I do like to pay special attention up here on my forehead lines, because as you know, that is a problem area for me on my face. And then just set everywhere else where I've applied that foundation. And then just with literally the very last hints of the powder in there, in the lid, I'm just picking it up on the brush so you can see a very, very small amount. And I'm just going to go over again just to make sure that I haven't missed anywhere. There we go. I think that's definitely got me covered, hasn't it? It's got everything set. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure whether this is a lot better than some of my other setting powders, like the Beauty Bakery, which is probably gram for gram cheaper than this. And I would say actually, you know, maybe a little bit better on my face. I mean, it looks fine. I just don't know whether this is £1 per 10 grams fine, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But, you know, it looks perfectly fine. It looks great. It definitely has brightened up under my eye, and my forehead definitely does look, because I put a little bit more focus up there, that does look quite good, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about the setting powder? Let's move on to eyeshadows. First of all, let's open up the Sweet Pinks by Juvia's. Now, this is the... Oh, come on. This is a lovely bright pink palette. Is there a little... Oh, yeah, there is. Take that one out. So this is a very, very pink palette, as you can see. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, Lisa, you know, you go on about liking your bold colours. Isn't this a bit neutral? It is on its own. I mean, I think you could absolutely rock this if you just wanted to use this as a pink eyeshadow palette. You could probably use this and get some really pretty looks just by using this on its own. But I've very much got this in mind to work with the Violet palette, which I haven't even opened this one. But yeah, I did purposely get the two together. Now, I've got to say, when I was in store before Christmas looking at this palette in particular, there was some on a display, and I rather cheekily, they had some that had, you know, would normally be for testers, and it wasn't like the actual palette, it was just, you know, the shadows where they put them on the side. Now, there was a little plastic film over that, so I don't know whether you were supposed to use it for testers or just see what the colours were looking like. I'm not quite sure what the point of it was, but I did put my finger under and just have a little couple of very light swatches. I know, but when I did that, I found that I really didn't like it. So when I saw this online, oh yeah, look how beautiful that is. Look how beautiful that is. So when I saw it online, I was like, oh, that's so pretty. So we've got 2 mattes and then 4 shimmers on there, and I was just like, wow, that is gorgeous. But as I say, when I swatched it, I really wasn't impressed. But you can see when I put these 2 palettes kind of together, which, bearing in mind, that would give you a £12 palette for £28, so it's not cheap. And that would give you 5 mattes and 7 shimmers across that sort of colour story. Now, I do actually quite like that colour story. You know, looking at them together, I think that these are really, really complementary. So let's get to swatching. Let's get to swatching. So let's do the mattes first. So we'll do so we'll go from light to dark. So wow, look at the pigmentation. I mean, I've got to say, these first 2 look very similar. I'll just build that one up just a little bit. There we go. They look very similar, almost like a slight tonal shift. So we've got like a baby pink and then a more corally pink. And then, of course, that neon bright pink there. So let's have a look. So we'll go, that's the baby pink. That's the corally pink. And then, wow. And then we'll do the shimmers from this one. That's very pretty. That's very, very pretty. Yeah, I like these a lot. Look how these are swatching. Now, again, swatches don't really mean a thing, but you've got to admit that does swatch really beautifully. Look how that's catching the light. That is just, I think that is a beautiful, beautiful palette. Right, so that's the sweet pinks. Let's have a look then at the violets one. So this is the one I really did not like in store. So we're going to do the mattes first. I have wiped my fingers off with a rather disgusting cotton round and some micellar water. It's just what I'm using for the swatches. It's not going on my face, don't worry. Even I wouldn't do that to myself. So here we go, just taking the 2 matte colours first of all. And should we go from my watch? Should we go, hang on. Should we go back up to my hands? Yeah, let's do that then. So we'll go with the darker colour. Not sure. A little bit patchy, but you know, purples are notoriously difficult. And yeah, that is the sort of lilac-y shade. So that's, I mean, those 2 look okay for swatches. Right, and then we'll do the shimmers. So we'll start with the lightest and then go progressively dark. I've got to say, if these... Yeah, this is very different to what I got in store. Very different. Wow. Okay, so this time we're going dark to light, aren't we? So we go dark. And then a little bit lighter. Quite a bit lighter. And then the lightest. Wow. Look, I mean, look at those together. Look at how beautiful a colour story that is. Just across from the pinks to the purples. That is absolutely stunning. I do have to say though, in all honesty, I think the purples are going to take a bit more building up to really get that sort of impact. I really do. So I've just gone back in with that lilac-y one. Let's just see if we can go over that again. Yeah, look, it does need building up a little bit. No problem with that, because purples are a very, very difficult shade to actually get right in terms of pigmentation. But I must say, the pinks have absolutely wowed me. That is stunning. Absolutely stunning. This sort of dusky pink is one of my favourite shades. You can tell I'm wearing pink today with my purple hair in honour of these palettes. But yeah, this sort of dusky pink here and this sort of dusky pink here, these are 2 of my favourite shades. That sort of almost rose gold shade. Love it. So then what are we actually going to do on my face? I think we're going to have to do, I was about to say, shall we do one eye pink and one eye purple? I mean, we could do, but with that violet shade, it would then be all shimmers. And yeah, maybe we won't do that because we've only got those 2 mattes to play with. So I think we'll do a proper eye look. As I say, I did buy these as companion pieces for each other. I do also have the berries palette. and I'll put a little picture to that just up here as well. I think that is also a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful palette, and I think that would also work really well with these other two. So to deepen up the colours into that sort of burgundy, sort of berry toned range, I think would look stunning. But anyway, for now, let's just crack on using these two. So what are we going to do today for a look? I think we have to do quite a nice smoky pink into purple. So first I'm going to prep my eyes using the Revolution Pro Eye Elements eye primer in the shade Core. So this is the one, I say it every time, don't I? This is the one that is a dupe for the MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. So we're going to start off today with this with the more dusky pink, really, I think. So I'm just using the Spectrum B06. So I'm just going to use obviously holding it very far at the end, and I'm just going to apply this just on the crease line, just starting kind of in the middle of my eye. Now, I do always say, wherever you put your brush for the first time with your product on is where it's going to be darkest. So you might think, well, why am I starting in the middle? Because what I want to actually do is we're going to be building this colour up and going deeper onto the outer eye. So by starting in the middle and then going in and then out, I'm kind of taking most of the impact of the darkest shade is going to be here, where we're going to start transitioning out into those deeper pinks and purples as we go. Just tapping back in again. Now, again, just taking that from the center of the eye in and then blending it out. I'm not blending all the way over the eye, and I am just laying this down almost like my transition shades. Now, I've got to say, when you are just using a fine amount of it, it isn't showing up hugely because of my skin tone, so it actually doesn't look too dissimilar to my skin, just with a little bit of extra redness, if that makes sense. You know, sometimes if you're a bit flushed, you kind of get that sort of, oh, and that's just giving me that sort of subtle flushing effect. I think that would be a really subtle look. If you wanted to do almost like a no makeup, you could just run this one shade through your crease and just into the corner, just a little tiny bit, just to give that sort of element of a shadow, as you can see, that's kind of just forming there. I think that would be a really pretty way of wearing it. And then we're just going to take it up ever so slightly, a little bit higher. Again, because I'm pushing up, I am actually, you know, doing that motion with the brush as well, so that as I'm blending up, kind of the makeup, if you like, is coming from below and going up. That makes sense. I'm going to go to the next shade. Now, I wasn't going to use this one, so let's just see how pigmented we end up with this one. I don't want this to be too over the top. You see, look at that. That's gone very dark. So again, starting in that middle of my eye, you can see there, right? So let's just try and blend that out. Okay, there's definitely a big patch line there. So I'm dipping back in to that sort of lighter shade, that lighter pink, and I'm just going to reinforce that on that inner corner, and then hopefully blend those two together a little bit more, just to stop that sort of sudden pack of color that I created. I mean, that is my fault. I did say wherever you lay down the color, that is where you get the deepest sort of shade, and I've just done the same thing on that one. Right, okay, so that middle coral shade is actually, I've gone for the lighter one again. That coral shade is actually far more intense than that paler pink. So just blend that back out. There we go. I think that's looking reasonable now. It's not looking too bad, is it? Again, it really is taking on that pinky tone. So now I am going to swap over to the Violets palette, and I'm going to go into that purple, and I'm just going to start building up with this pale violet shade. I'm going to start building this up and see what this does. So because I want the pinks to blend into a purple, I didn't really want that intense of a pink line just there in the center. So I'm going to place the purple, that violet, over the top of that. You see, now that instantly, I can see that looks a lot more intense than it does on the swatch. So this is where I was saying that swatches largely don't really matter. They don't show us the actual way that a product works with your eye primer and your base products and all of that when you are actually applying it with a brush. So yeah, that's really, I mean, you can see on this eye particularly where I've sort of packed it on a little bit more. So we're just going to do the same on this side, just level them up like so, and then take everything off the brush. I'm just going to blend that into that pink underneath and take it across the crease line. Look at that. That's really impressive. I don't know whether it's actually picking up on camera the same as it is in person. Let me see whether I can actually change the color of the light, whether that's going to make any impact. I don't know. That's more of a daylight look. That's a little bit harsher. Shows the wrinkles a little bit more, but I think it also is going to show you a little bit more true to sort of what I'm seeing in person. So I've dipped back in on the same brush, and this time I'm coming in at my eye on more of a sort of flat level rather than coming up from underneath. And I'm just going to apply that because of my hood. I'm just going to see where it needs to go. So it needs to go sort of here. Now, obviously, if you have eyes that are less hooded than mine, you won't need to take your shadow all the way up to there. But for me, just so you can see it clearly and so that I can get that sort of impact that I like, I am taking it up just a little bit higher, probably than most people would. But, you know, when do I ever do things the way that other people do? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, this is just working on my skin, my 45-year-old kind of hooded, wrinkly, crinkly, loose eye skin, which I don't mind. You know, we all age, don't we? Right, let's move on with the deeper purple shade, this slightly more plum shade, and I'm tapping in with a very small amount. And I'm actually, because of how pigmented that other lilac-y one is, I'm just going to tap that off, so I've got a very small amount on the brush. So then let's have a look. So we're going to place this first of all on the outer corner and then see whether we need to build that up. No, look at that. Look how intense that is. I don't know whether that's showing up on camera just as much, but that is brilliant. This is exactly what I was hoping for when I went into store and did a swatch. That's amazing. Wow. Okay, slight amount of product on, tap off, and do the same on this eye. Again, coming in, just sort of, I'm placing the product, even as I'm tapping in, I'm not tapping my whole brush in, I'm using the domed element of the brush just to then place the product where I want it, because I don't want to go too intense with this, but I do want it to absolutely show up, which I think it is doing really beautifully, actually. Look at that. Look, wowza. I am absolutely shocked by this. I was not expecting this at all. Okay. I mean, especially when the swatch looked a bit patchy there, I was thinking, ooh, maybe this is like the one in store. Yeah, don't trust the swatches on this, everyone. If you've been in store, especially with this Violets palette, and you've swatched it and you were like, oh, I'm not sure about that one, don't trust the swatches, because on this palette, look at that. Look at the intensity of it. I'm loving that. Absolutely loving it. I'm half-minded just to go in with all of these other shimmers, the purples, and to really build up a deep purple look, but I'm not going to. I am going to blend some pink and that into this. I've got to say there's minimal fallout because I've been using such a small amount of product. I've really been tapping in lightly. There's not a lot of fallout at all. There's also not a lot of kickback in the pan, so that's great. So let's just see what the shimmers are like on the eye then. So let's start off with this palest pink here. So that'll be this one just here. I'm going to start with that just on my finger, and I'm just going to hold the mirror over the cardboard packaging. Juvia's Place is an indie brand though, which does tend to mean you do get quite good quality. Not all indie brands are good quality, obviously, but you do get kind of a good quality product that is still, you know, it still has that indie ethos. You know how some indie brands are coming up with the most weird and wonderful multi-chromes and duochromes and all of these amazing sort of formulas that the big companies just can't replicate en masse. Well, I think Juvia's is just on that cusp, especially now it's in Superdrugs. I think this could be that sort of turning point for Juvia's, where there'll be that moment where, you know, they've become so mainstream that eventually they're either going to be bought out by a much larger company, or you will see a bit like Too Faced, you know, when their quality started to really dip because they became so popular that they just had to cut corners in the manufacturing process in their formulas to be able to keep up with the sheer amount of products that were being sold, even if the products that were then being sold weren't the same quality. And I do question whether Juvia's is going to be going through that anytime soon. I think we'll try this lilac because that is just absolutely calling my name. So we'll try this one first, this sort of pale purpley violet-y colour. So let's go with this one first. I'm going to place this next to the pink, but overlapping that more intense pink. Oh yes. This is what I'm talking about. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh, this is stunning. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. This is, oh my God, I was wrong about this palette. I was totally wrong about this palette. Wowzer. Right, okay, and then dipping into this warmer, I'm not going to go for this deepest purple, I'm going to go for this warmer one. There we go, and then just not going too deep and cool toned with this one. I want it to still be a really pretty warm kind of look, but look at that. Look at that. This is a beautiful palette. Oh, and that matches that plum really nicely. It's not the same tone in the pan. It really isn't. It really is a very different tone. But I think because I've blended that plum up into that violet matte, I think it now works really, really well. So I've got a little bit more of the violet one, and I'm just going to put that back over just where those two lines meet again, just to sort of soften up that transition, especially on this eye, just to soften it up a little bit. And then also just where that lilac meets that pink. Look at that. That is so beautiful. That is ridiculous. Right, absolutely ridiculous. I think that is stunning. I am going to take a blending brush. There we go. So I'm taking a blending brush now, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that dusky pink colour, this matte colour here, just a small amount, just a very small amount, and I'm going to tap it off, in fact, just so we don't want too much of it. And I'm just going to use that just on the outer edge, just all the way up, just at the top, just to really smoke out the colours there, like so. And then because it is a blending brush, I'm just going to use the brush. Now there's no real sort of pigment on the brush. I'm just going to take that purple and just kind of move that slightly into that pink that I've just laid down, just so you get that soft kind of, that really soft blend. I like that. I like that a lot. And I'm going to do the same on the other eye now. This has really, really impressed me. Both of these palettes so far anyway. Just to basically, the only reason I'm doing this and going back in with this pink rather than going in with the lilac is because I do want to reinforce the fact that this is a pink and purple look. And I think the intensity of this plum in the outer corner has taken off some of that sort of pink element. But I do just want to make sure that that pink is definitely there. And again, you can do that just with a little bit of that blending and just bringing back that hint of pink, just like so. I'm going to go into that plum shade, and I'm going to now darken up that outer line underneath my eyes. Just going to take a little bit more of that dusky pink. I'm using that on a small domed fluffy brush, and I think this is a Charles Fox as well. Yes, it is. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that colour, as you can see, and just then smoke out the under eye even more. Just to kind of bring back that pink element that's there. I'm going to leave the eyeshadow there. So that's the rest of my products done now. I've done my brows, I've got my bronzer, my blusher and my contour and my highlighter all done. As I say, if you want to know what products I use, they are all listed down below, along with where you can get them from Amazon. It is an affiliate link. I think I get a penny if you spend £100, something like that. I don't know how these things work. So then let's have a look at the lip liner. I have taken the packaging off. So this is in the shade Lush. let's just have a little look at what that actually looks like. So it is like a brown shade. Where can I swatch this? I know, I'll just put this just here, look. There you go, look at that. So it's a really nice sort of brown shade. It feels really creamy actually on the back of my hand. So let's see what it feels like on the lips. I've got to say though, this lip liner is really nice. It's really creamy. Okay, what do we think so far? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section. But then we're going to go on to the lippy. So this is in the shade Me. And yeah, I think it should match quite nicely in. Oh, I love that packaging. Look at that. That's gorgeous. It's almost kind of, you know, what I'm doing on my eyes. So yeah. Okay, it's a slightly paler brown than I was expecting, to be fair. I don't know whether you can see. Oh, is it? No, it's actually the exact same color as the packaging. Wow, it just looks a little bit paler in the componentry. This has got the same sort of soft touch feel, almost as a NARS lipstick. I do like it. I like the shape. It's a really interesting shape. Look at that. Right, let's see how it applies. Oh, it's creamy. That's applied really, really nicely, actually. Let me just get my setting spray, sort my hair out, and I'll be back for final thoughts. So there we go. That is the final look. What do you all think? I'll move a little bit closer so you can see it a little bit closer up. What do you think? Let's do the Vanessa look, the Little Miss Budget look. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section what you think about this look. So what do I think about all of these products? Well, I'm going to go through them in the order that I use them. So let's look very, very close up in a mirror here. I've got to say the under eye setting powder, close up, it doesn't really seem to do much. But on camera, my under eye is looking fantastic. And also where I've used this powder and set my forehead, it looks really, really, really good. It looks really good. It doesn't look cakey in person. But it also, I've got to say, you know, it is seem to be settling into my lines a little bit in person, but on camera and with a bright light, it looks absolutely stunning. And maybe even from sort of, if I hold the mirror sort of where you are, I think it absolutely looks fine. I think it's only when you look really super close up that you can see. But again, you know, I'm 45, I've got 45-year-old skin. I'm never going to look like I've got a 12-year-old's forehead, am I? But I do really like that. Is it as good as my Beauty Bakery one? I'm not sure. It's definitely not better than my Beauty Bakery powder, but it could be almost up there with that. And that for me is very, very high praise indeed. Do I think it's worth £12 though for the small little container of it? That I'm not so sure about. So that one, I think, if you've got another setting powder that you really enjoy, if you forked out for if you've got another setting powder that you really enjoy, like the Laura Mercier or the Beauty Bakery one, or any of the others that you really, really enjoy and you like a brightening effect, I don't think this is going to be heads and shoulders above the rest. It might be as good, but it's not going to be like 100 times better. But on its own, I do think it's done a reasonably good job of setting my face and giving me that little bit of highlighting that I do need. For the two palettes, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, you know, that's the swatches again. Look at them. They are just beautiful. I am really pleased with the Sweet Pinks. I was kind of expecting the Sweet Pinks to be this good. I was expecting it to have that much of a punch. Because I've got the Berries palette as well, I was kind of expecting this to be on a par with that one, and they are. Very, very, very similar, if not the exact same formulas, and they work in exactly the same way. Now, the one I'm surprised about is the Violets, because as I say, when I first swatched this, I thought this was not going to perform. And in fact, when I said to Rufus, I ended up ordering it, he kind of was just like, oh, really? Why? You didn't like it? I'm so glad I did, because this is the same formula as the Sweet Pinks and the Berries one, and their Zulu palettes and all of the other ones that I've ever tried. This is that same quality. I don't know whether the one that I swatched in store was just really bad, or like, you know, the tester ones in store was just really bad quality. I don't know what was happening with that, but this is really, really, really good. I am over the moon at this, and I cannot wait to use this to try more looks. Onto the lip products then. What do I think? Well, the liner, I've got to say, felt really nice on my lips. It was really creamy, felt really nice going on. There was no dragging as I was applying it. So yeah, it's nice. However, £10. I'm not sure it's £10 nice. Now, on the same website, on Superdrug's website, you can also get a Makeup Revolution Satin Kiss lip liner for £3, and those are very good. You can get an Inglot lip liner for £8, and you can get all sorts of other ones for around £4, £5 or £6. Do I think this outperforms any of them? So far, no. To be fair, I don't think it's that much of a difference in quality. I think my comments are going to be very similar for the lipstick as well. To be honest, it went on really nicely. It was creamy, it feels really hydrating. It's kind of dried down to that almost sort of semi-satin matte kind of finish, which I love. It's one of my favourite finishes from a bullet lipstick, and it feels really good. Does it feel £14 good? That is my question. Especially when Revolution Pro have their own range of satin matte lipsticks that are available on Superdrug's website as well for like £6. Yes, it's lovely and I'm enjoying wearing it on my lips, but do I think it's worth £14? To be honest, no. If you go on Superdrug's website, you can have a look at the Revolution Pro New Neutrals range of lipsticks. They've got some satin matte lipsticks that are normally £6 and currently they're on a deal. So they're actually £4.79 each at the moment. So you effectively get 3 of those for the price of 1 of these, and I've got to say those ones feel very, very similar on the lips. So to be honest, I'm not sure why these are priced the way that they are. I would not recommend you getting these unless it's something that you want to try for the first time, because to be honest with you, it's not worth that extra money. For £24, I don't think these 2 items are worth it. I think you could absolutely dupe this for less than half the price at standard Superdrug prices by looking around at some of the other brands, and the quality isn't super amazingly different, to be brutally honest with you. These 5 items would cost you £64 on Superdrug. Now, they have got 3 for 2 deals and you can use points and all of that to get those for less. But at £64, would I recommend that you get these? No, I would not. However, for £28, I would recommend that you get these. If you're looking for a single colour capsule palette, I can totally recommend these 100%. Yes, they are a little bit more on the pricey side, but I do really, really like the quality. I was a little bit concerned, as I said, about this one when I swatched it in store, but actually, once I've used them and once I've done the swatches here live, as you've seen today, I think they are absolutely brilliant. It matches what I've come to expect from the Berries palette, and to be honest with you, I think if I was after a single colour sort of capsule palette, if for any of those other colours that Juvia's do, I would go and pick one of these up. So there you go. Those are all my thoughts and opinions on the Juvia's range of products available at Superdrug here in the UK. What are yours? Have you tried this range yet? If so, let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comment section. Also, let me know what you think about the price point. Like, do you think this lipstick is good value? Yes, it looks good. Do you think it's £14 good? Let me know that as well. But that is it for me today. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a massive thumbs up. That really helps me out here on YouTube. Also, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and then ding your bell so that YouTube notifies you each and every time I upload a video. For a full list of the products that I am wearing on my face today, apart from the Juvia's Place range ones, check out the description box down below. And of course, that's also the place to check out all the links to the Authentic Army. We're a group of very small micro creators here on the platform, and we tell it as it is, regardless of PR or hype or anything like that. So if authentic content is something that you're interested in, please check those creators out down below. But that is it for me today. And as I always say, stay you, stay safe, stay authentic, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.